So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews. We'll discuss with local business leaders, their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us Adam Oldfield, who's founder and CEO at Force24. So, Adam, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, Force24, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Yeah. So as you said, Adam Oldfield, founder and CEO of Force24. We're a marketing automation platform based here in the UK. And we were born out of a need, which rather than I think we should build some great software to follow the pack. We started in 2010, where
Yep,
there was a need in the world to communicate better with prospects and customers alike
yep,
based on the information that was being collected from CRMs and so on and so forth. And so I sort of originally started, I mean, we'll cover lots of different topics in the future, but I originally started in web development. So I had a lot of exposure of working with brands as they tried to navigate the online marketing world. And
yep,
the bit that always fell foul was as some people would call it, the CRM aspect, which is the relationships after you've collected the first email.
yep,
And so set about trying to build a product that stitched together the experience that happened after the email click to try
yep,
and learn about people, learn what products they're interested in, what their motivations are, what their drivers are, and try then to empower further subsequent communications. Now,
yep.
what happened with Force24 was the fact we sort of started off on this path, and as all great ideas, they change and twist. And we very quickly learned that people were buying software and things like that, and they don't know how to use it.
Yes.
So we decided that part of our job as a business, and I'm still on the introduction here, by the way, Chris.
Oh, keep going. It's great.
But the part of the business challenge is going to be enablement and activation.
Yes.
And so we decided to make a few differences to our business model, which was that we would empower all of our customers with a done for you style proposition, which means that, yeah, you can buy
Great.
some software, whatever, but actually we're a team of people that come, connect up the CRM, connect up the website,
Brilliant.
build and show you exactly what the first communication should look like, what everything should do. And then beyond that, we offer free training and support for life on
Wow.
a 2-minute SLA for support, but training and strategy on a same day one-to-one basis. Now, we're growing in size and we've got about 5,000 users on the platform.
Wow.
And so our engineering challenge moved from just building software to being able to provide human level interactions to those 5,000 people as and when they need it. And so that's part of our challenge. That's who we are. And we're based right here in Leeds. So proud to be
Amazing.
part of the Northern Tech Alliance.
Uh, Brilliant and amazing. And I think, what I've heard you say there is, and I certainly concur, there are very simple systems that do stuff and probably as an individual, as a business owner, I can master and use. There's very, very complex systems that I'm aware of. I don't use, but some of my clients use that are very, very comprehensive. But you
Yeah.
almost need a degree in just running that system. And so, somebody that's running an SME business and works with SME businesses, we don't really have the time to spend hours and months learning a system when a done for you and a well supported system's got to be key for lots of very busy business people.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been extremely successful and popular, and I think it's all about the demarcation of effort in
Yeah,
business, professional services. And so, if your business has got the capacity to implement new technology and to the degree that a professional could do it,
yeah,
I'd say it's over-resourced, and I would say you're potentially burning cash.
yeah.
Uh,
Great point.
and so the reality of it is what professional service propositions like that aspect of our business are there to do is to provide the bump start to
Yeah, great.
enable lean businesses to get to where they actually want to go quickly.
Yeah,
If I'm expecting my marketing team to buy Salesforce, buy Marketo, buy HubSpot, buy whatever, and be expert at it, well, I mean, it might happen over the course of years. You might hire
but
somebody that's done it before or whatever. But I'm telling you now, the nuances per business are vast.
yeah,
And so, I've got the power of sitting here and saying, look, I've got it wrong. more times than most people have had hot dinners. So I've walked into the traps. Well, not me personally, but
So you know,
well, yeah,
yeah,
but the point is, so we've walked into those brick walls more times than anybody else, and
yeah,
our skill is about just trying to pick out and navigate through to get to the successful position quicker than if you were to do it on your own. And the point as well is the fact
brilliant.
that it's not about cost, it's about return. And the
Yes,
return on investment on an effective strategy is vast. They say that marketing automation, traditional email should deliver a 1 to 8 ratio. Marketing automation is 1 to 30. So you spend £1, you should get 30 back. That's
brilliant.
the objective. So if you're going to professionals,
Yep,
that's what you should be aiming for.
brilliant, brilliant. So, just for anyone watching, what make a great client? What are the real great ones that you tend to work with? What do they look like? What's their avatar? I
So
think is the current phrase.
yeah, so what we focus on businesses that have got a complex sales challenge. So we don't
Yep,
work with retail e-commerce.
yep,
So well, when I say retail e-commerce, what I mean is we don't work with, say, an Amazon where
yeah,
you come, you buy 3 products, you walk away again. We work with businesses that have a more complicated sales cycle, perhaps professional services. We
yep.
do a lot of work in automotive. We do a lot of work in fitted furniture like kitchens, bedrooms, bathrooms, this kind of thing. We
Okay,
do a lot of work in travel. And as I said before, in the business to business sector, it's about professional services, it's about
yep,
software, things that you don't just buy instantly, that
yep,
need a relationship forming.
yep.
And so that's what makes a good customer to us. The only
Great.
hard requirement we've got is there must be a marketeer in the business. We've got to be able
Okay,
to lean against an individual to empower them, to grow them,
great.
to make them capable. Where if it's not, if there
Yeah.
isn't resource in the business, it tends to be bit doomed to
Yes,
fail because just don't
I
have the time.
I can understand why. And so I think it's a
Yes.
great differentiation, that isn't it? You must have a marketeer in the business, because if you don't, then yeah, you're not ready for the business isn't ready. And you the numbers you said, 5,000 users, and obviously this fast response and online, within day response and support. That must feels like that takes some systems and processes and structures to make that work effectively.
Yeah, well, I mean, fortunately, that didn't happen overnight, and that's
Yeah.
it's been a sort of
Yes.
embryonic process. And there's been times of friction where we've found that we've been getting that wrong, and there's been times where we found that we've got to improve it and focus on it. And now I'd say, as at this point in time, we have got the most fantastic team, systems,
Brilliant.
processes to support those guys, and it's like it's about what we found is it's about layering communications.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say you're a customer and you've got a problem and you're like, it could be as something as inert with how do I change the color of the button? Maybe you didn't go on the first training, maybe you're new
Yeah.
to the job or whatever, and you haven't realized that we're different and you can do all these things, and you think, oh, how do I do that? So we've got to get you to that answer quickly. And of course, we've got to use AI, of course, we've got to use technology.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't necessarily want to speak to somebody. I just want the answer.
Yeah.
Right. So it's about layering. So that first port of call, is there something within the help desk space that is going to help you? Okay, brilliant. I know that
Great.
sounds fairly obvious, but then it's about layering within the organization. And
Yeah.
so some questions are uh, actually a bit deeper than what they would first seem on the surface. So we've got
Yeah.
to understand whether, wait a minute, is this a fundamental misunderstanding of
Yeah.
what's happening,
Yeah.
or is this somebody that's got a genuine question as to how to do something? So what we've got to do is we've got to route everything as efficiently as possible to get the answer quickly. Nothing is worse than spending 6 weeks or a day or an hour, or whatever it is, just trying to get the answer to a simple question, which
Yeah.
you think is simple, but that question's rooted in
Yes.
confusion. So I genuinely our engineering team, i.e., the people that build the software, and the budget behind that is the same as the budget behind the people that actually implement the systems,
Right.
the AI, the
Yeah.
people to deliver to the customers, which from a software engineering point of view, benchmarking point of view, is you wouldn't normally do that.
Yeah.
you wouldn't. But what I would say is that the numbers speak for themselves. Client satisfaction is unbelievable. Client return on investment is unbelievable. Client new wins is
Brilliant.
unbelievable. So those metrics are the ones that matter to us.
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Okay.
So, Anna, maybe if we start by looking back, or look back for a little while, and if perhaps you could talk a little bit more about your background, how you got into business, and why this particular one for you, because you're clearly very passionate about it, which is comes across very strongly.
Well, if you do something for 15 years, you
Yeah,
can't help but get good at it, and you
a-
can't help but even if you did everything wrong. Um,
absolutely.
so I started in 1999. Which was the sort of outset of the internet. Well, it wasn't, but it was sort of after the dot-com boom bubble and all the
Yeah.
rest of it. It was the sort of really the beginnings of the growth phase of the internet. And so in 1999, I formed a web development agency, and at that point, I was sort of I left university. I didn't finish university. I was doing engineering at university, and I just felt that this doesn't fit. I kind of like
Yeah.
engineering principles, but I don't like the physical going out and looking at bridges and things like that. I don't enjoy that. So I bought a book on web development and read it because that's how you did things back then. This book was this thick, I swear. It was a monster. And I do you know what the other thing is? I couldn't afford to buy the book. The book was too expensive for me at first. So I got this part-time job working selling computer consumables, which ironically is a customer at Force24. Nothing to do with me. I didn't reach them.
Brilliant.
They're a big company on Euroway Trading Estate in Bradford. They were called Supplies Team at the time, and they had a competition. The person that sold the most ink or whatever got a
Yeah,
Waterstones voucher, and I was like, "Wait a minute,
that'll
I
do.
need a Waterstones voucher." So that
Brilliant.
I really worked. I won that competition, read the book, understood it, sold my first website, and then as time went by, I mean, this was the good heady days of the internet. I was
Yeah.
through our chat before where I said to you, I remember a customer came to me and he sold watches, and they were like this brand of watches that I'd never heard of before. I don't think they were anything too fancy or whatever. But he said, I want to, if anybody types in Rolex into the search engines, I want to come up. And
Yes.
it's like, okay, let's give it a go. And the
Interesting. Yeah.
process, it was just a case of putting the word Rolex lots of
Yeah.
times in the meta tags. And it was like, oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
Obviously, now the world has massively changed. And so I ran that business from 1999 to selling it in 2006.
Yeah.
2006, I sold it to a full service marketing agency, and I continued to work there till 2009. And in that time was, we'd gone from we'll build anybody a website to, okay, in 2006, we were web application developers. So we'd sort of evolved and we'd become something a little bit more
Yes.
heavyweight. And that's an interesting point there because what I found with Force24 and my first business was the original idea always stays true. We were there to do this, but the market is massively changing and things are constantly evolving. And so we're morphing into what the people need
Yes.
in order to deliver your vision. The vision
Yeah.
shouldn't change. I want to do this.
Yeah.
How I do this is
Yeah.
just a path that I take to get there. And some
Yes.
people I've seen that are sort of too wedded to that individual thing. So anyway, sold that, worked there for 2 years, maybe a little bit longer, and then I was just frustrated because everybody was having the same problems. It was all around marketing. It was all about I've got this wonderful e-commerce store,
Yeah.
I've got this happening. How do I get more customers?
Yeah.
And it was all about Google AdWords was coming out was out, Facebook was out, various different paid marketing opportunities were emerging. And what struck me was people were throwing thousands, tens and hundreds of thousands of pounds into marketing to get one order.
Right.
And then largely just forgetting that they had a legacy customer base that they knew about. And
Yeah.
that was where the whole point about Force24 came in. And it was like, well, we've got to do something that helps people connect better with those customers and sell more to them. And
Yeah.
now the ironic thing is, Chris, we don't touch e-commerce at Force24. Like I say, when I say e-commerce, I mean in the traditional sense. If
Yeah.
kitchens online would be fine, holidays online is fine,
Yeah.
but don't sell widgets
I
because
get that completely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because there's still a complex sale, isn't there? In a
yeah,
holiday, or there is a. It's not a single transaction in terms of yes, I want one, I'll buy one, I'll get one. Yeah, I totally get it. So very much of it comes across very much as the point of a CRM is to build the relationship. Um,
correct.
in an automated way. I know I'm stating things that are quite obvious, but it's the automated process, which is so key because if I don't feel like I'm engaged with the organisation, it will be a single transaction. As you say, I might buy once, but
Yeah,
one of the things we have in Action Coach, we have what we call the ladder of loyalty, and it's basically a diagrammatic representation of marketing through to sales and building these sorts of relationships. So we
yeah,
right at the bottom we've got suspect, obviously that's an
yeah,
early marketing thing. Right at the top we've got what we call raving fans.
yeah,
And the goal is to take people through from buying and then becoming someone that tells everyone about you, does yourself through. But at the middle point we've got, as the marketing becomes selling, we've got what we call, I've got to get this right, our definition of a shopper is someone that buys once. But
right,
the next stage is a customer who's bought a second and third time. And
yeah,
and what I see a lot of, and it feels like this is very, very, very pertinent to our conversation, is people spend a lot of time getting people to shop at, I buy once, but they don't spend a whole bunch of effort and energy to getting people who already bought, know we're great, know the products are wonderful, to actually keep buying and become
yeah,
and create the habit. And it's
yeah.
fascinating.
And do you know what, Chris? One of the things that I see, so that's really interesting. You've got the ladder of loyalty. That's exactly, you've put your own take and your own thinking into that, and I always find that kind of thing is really enlightening. I've seen models which call it the bow tie. So you've got all your suspects here coming into the bit where the transaction,
Yes.
and then the growth of the customer. And it's a similar principle.
Yep.
Here's what I've noticed, right, about this. Everybody is in sales mode all the time. How boring is that as a consumer? So
Yeah.
all of the messages in the first part of the bow tie are buy this, that's cheap. You should look at that, buy this, buy that. And then when it comes into the customer, it's like, we've just released this product, buy that
Yeah.
product, do this, do that, do that. Right. There has to be a layer of happy comms. And those happy comms are the bit that we remember as individuals. And there are key times in a relationship where
Yeah.
I can just support you. I can just give you something back. I can just help you a
Yep.
little bit. And that is it. And so I always say it's like, if you're mapping out these journeys, which is what our product essentially does, is it facilitates that bow tie through automation. And but the strength of the relationship doesn't come from me constantly peppering you with offers and constantly peppering you with,
Yes.
it's supportive, happy comms. It's,
Love it.
you're here for this. I can help you, but for free, or I don't know what it is. Every business is different.
I love it actually. It brings to mind this two people that I've done work with. One is a guy called Paddy Lund, who he wrote a book called The Happiness Centered Business, and he talked about what he calls, let's get this right, CNEs, critical non-essentials. So
Yes,
they're not
brilliant.
essential to transacting business, but they're critical to the relationship.
That's brilliant. CNE. I'm gonna read that
I,
guy's book
I
because
will.
that
If you ever do, it's quite difficult to get hold of his book. If you can't get it, I'll send it to you. But one of the things about getting the book, and I don't want to, but it's probably worth highlighting on here, is
yeah,
he's taken even buying the book to be a great experience. So when you get your book,
yeah.
it's in a box with tissue paper around it and a bow. And it just in his goal, I can tell you more. I won't go into too much
Critical
detail.
non
Critical
genius.
non-essential, and one of the things he says about it that I've trained with him two or three times now. One thing he says about it is it doesn't even matter if the client knows it's a system. The point is you've taken the time and care to do more than just sell at me. Exactly what you said. And
Yeah.
The other person I would reference is a guy called Philip Hesketh, who is an amazing speaker on persuasion, influence, and
Mm.
he's got an amazing background. He originally ran a very large advertising agency before he went into speaking, and one of the things he developed in his agency was a principle which sits very much alongside this, and this is very, I guess, less automated, but it's a great principle, and he called it 10 before 10 on a Tuesday.
Mm.
And the 10 before 10 on a Tuesday was 10 clients he would call before
Yeah.
10 o'clock on a Tuesday, specifically just to see how they were.
Lovely.
And specifically not to sell them anything. It was
Yeah.
literally said, if ever I got to a point where I was going to go, even tempted to go, we've got a new, as you said
Yeah.
earlier, we've got a
Yeah.
new, um, and, but then he said, and what I find interesting, because he said, guess what happened 34% of the time when I'd ring this client?
Go
They
on.
go, they
They'd
go,
say, "Oh, glad you've
oh,
rung."
I'm glad you've run. I was just thinking, and
Yeah.
but it was so clear that if he ever rung for that purpose, he would
Yeah.
that would disappear. So he only just did it, and I just think those sort of things. But yeah, Paddy's a great guy because he really just he creates amazing customer experience, and I won't go into massive detail right now. I'm a,
Fascinating. Our Force24 managing director is a guy called Matt Smith, and Matt Smith's not from a traditional marketing background, but
yep,
he came to me and he said to me probably 3 years ago. He was like, uh, "Back of mind all the time, front of mind buying time." And that stuck with me as well, because what that meant is those critical non-essentials, those little touch points are
yep,
just about back of mind all the time, front of mind buying time. And that also brings me on to another point. Here's something else that I see is businesses trying to scrabble to think about the communications and what are we supposed to say and what we're supposed to do. And this is where I've got a frustration. And it's we've all heard of segmentation, right? We
yep,
all know what segmentation. If I said to you, right, what's segmentation to you? You might say something like, well, businesses that are this turnover in this category of that industry, so we'll just segment our base into lots of different
yep,
groups of people. And I'd say sort of, but no. And the way I said, think about it like this, Chris. So right, let's play this game. This is called the restaurant game,
yep.
and I'm the waiter at the front of a restaurant. Let's see if you remember the rules. I'm the waiter at the front of a restaurant. You walk into my restaurant. What question do you want me to ask you at this point? You've walked in.
How can I help you? What
Would you like a table?
would you like to say?
Yeah, you see,
Would
you're
you
good
like
at
to
this
say?
game.
Absolutely. Yep.
So you'd want me to say, "Would you like a table?" Right? Okay. I
Yep.
might say something like, "How can I help you?" But
Yep.
we know there's a problem with that. Come
Yep.
back to that point. That's a good one.
Yes.
Um, so at that point in time, one question, maybe two questions, like, do you have a booking? Do you have it? Whatever.
Yep.
There's a few different questions, but we can
Yes.
agree that there is a category of questions that have a 100% chance of success. Now,
Yes.
I'm not saying to you, give me your credit card. Would you like steak? We sell fish. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm asking
Yep.
you a question that moves you through my restaurant.
Yep.
So at that point, it's got a 100% chance of success.
Yes.
No other question would have that chance of success. I move you to the table, I pull out the chair, I sit you down, napkin across your leg. Now, what would you like me to ask you?
Would I like a drink?
Would you like a drink? Brilliant. So I could then offer you the drinks menu or whatever. So now the ironic thing here is the question that had a 100% chance of success 10 meters ago, 5 seconds ago, now has a 0% chance of success.
Yes. Right.
Would
Yep.
you like a table?
Yes. I've got
Come on.
yes.
Sat at the table. So what we've got to be able to recognize is in this prospects, we have a metaphorical restaurant experience.
Yep.
Now, I don't pay my bill until the very end of that
Yep.
in the boat, the right at the very end. So I'm not buying, I've ordered things from you, okay, but I'm not actually paying the bill to the very end. So
Yep.
the waiters and waitresses in the restaurant recognize that there is a process, a system, a path you must go on in order to have a happy experience. And along
Yep.
that path, yeah, I don't know whether you've noticed this, you probably have. In the old days, you'd get your meal, you'd sit down, you'd eat it, and you wouldn't hear from anybody unless you put your hand up, flag them down. it now is almost a guarantee that whilst you're eating, somebody will come across with a critical non-happy CNE. What was the
Yep.
E again?
Uh,
Exchange or
Essential, critical, non-essential.
non-essential, yeah. Almost guaranteed somebody will come across and say, how's your meal? Is everybody enjoying it? Everybody, because they know
Absolutely.
if they don't ask you, you won't tell them. You'll
Yep.
just want a discount or you'll leave a bad
Yes.
review or whatever it might be. So they almost guarantee. So that experience has been honed over years and it gets better and better every single year. Why are we still struggling in understanding how our customers move through our restaurant? And so wouldn't it make more
Yeah.
sense if my segmentation is more intelligent than just butchers, bakers, candlestick makers?
Yep.
That is, these are the people at the front door of my restaurant, i.e., these are the people that are new
Yes.
to brand. They've never
Yes.
heard of us before. These are
Yep.
the people that have engaged with this or done this. These are the people that
Yeah.
have done. So segmentation moves from being a fixed, explicit attribute driven
Yeah.
thing to an implicit attribute driven thing, which means
Yeah.
my marketing department or marketeers can add 100% chance of success questions into the
Yeah.
messages. That means all of a sudden things get exciting.
Yes.
I think this is super marketing geek talk now, but I think if you're listening to this podcast and you're involved with the business, you are probably involved with marketing in some way, right?
Absolutely.
Or it matters to you.
Absolutely. I think it's something every business owner that's still running their own businesses should be asking of their own
Yeah.
business team, marketing team, is how do we take people through, are we set up to take people through a process, not are we just
Yeah.
here to find people in the particular sector?
Exactly. And you know, I'm going to pull up on the point that we made about the questions a moment ago in a second, but I just want to just say, like, so in the challenge that when we're consulting to a client and we're looking at, okay, let's get you started, let's figure out how this is all going to work. There's lots of reasons, there's like a million things. And so all of a sudden, well, we've got to consider everything. And all of a sudden, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Now, you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Absolutely.
And anybody out there, I would say, you do not go from zero to hero. You take that bow tie and either take the first slice and take it to there, or you take the bow tie and take a horizontal slice and take it all the way through.
Yep.
So, and then you build and you grow and you improve. But you do not do everything because you cannot, and that is doomed to fail. Even with professional services, even if we threw our entire company's resource at it, you'd probably get it wrong somewhere along the line and end up unpicking some stuff. And so just generally. Now, but I do want to come back, if it's all right, Chris, on that point about the questions.
Absolutely.
There's a thing that I do. So when I'm asking you, would you like a table? And you said to me before that, you said, can I help you? Right. So there's a thing that I do. So part of my role as CEO and founder is I'm not necessarily connected to the day-to-day operations of the business. I'm trying to look at the big stuff. I'm doing quite a lot of public speaking and it was wonderful. I love it. I think it's most people hate public speaking, but I quite enjoy it because I'm really passionate about it. But one of the things that I do is I try and get the audience to live my principles a little bit, which is why I do the restaurant game and things.
Yep.
But I do another one, which is I ask the audience a question. I say, right, has anybody got any questions? And at that point, you know what's going to happen.
Yep.
Nobody says a thing. And I take my heart in my hands every single time I do that in case somebody, because the next question I then ask is I point to somebody on the front row and I specifically point at somebody and I say to them, what happens in a room when a presenter asks, has anybody got any questions? And immediately that person says, haha, yeah, nobody ever asks. Their mind goes blank. Right. So everybody says the same thing, right? So I do this probably once a month, maybe twice a month, and have done for years. Running that risk of somebody asking a question, because my whole point is I want to be able to say, but look what happens when I put guardrails on the question and direct it to a specific individual. I get a 100% chance of success. You answered beautifully when I asked you. So the whole thing is about demonstrating that when I go out to a large group of people and ask an open question, I get almost nothing.
Yep.
Well, I get nothing in 10 years of doing it. I've never had anybody ever ask me a question. So that says I get nothing. Whereas when I point every time,
Yes.
I get a 100% chance. So those guardrails, what happens when this happens? Or whereas, theoretically in my brain, I'm thinking, well, there's more people sat in this room and I'm asking a question you could ask me about anything. And of course, I get nothing. So interesting point.
It's interesting. It reminds me of Robert Cialdini's book Influence, and one of the he does a lot of sort of experimentally backed. He's got a lot of experimentally backed evidence to his point. And I think under social proof, he basically the question was where if you were going to have a heart attack, is it better to have a heart attack on a busy high street or on a side
Oh,
street? And it's very very similar and basically the evidence most people if you ask the question would say well busy high street obviously because lots of people and the evidence was in a um a busy high street somebody and they used actors they literally used actors to try this so this is evidence backed is what would
wow.
happen is um far fewer people would do anything in a busy high street than on a side street. And the
Wow.
belief behind it, and again they tried this was if you're in a busy high street and somebody goes down, the first thing people do is look at somebody else to see what they're doing.
Ah, yeah.
And if they're not going to the person, then you won't. And as soon as that happens, that's the social norm because it's everybody. Somebody else could help. I'm not going to bother. Whereas
Yeah.
if it's just one or two people, you feel obliged, and that's that. For me, it's not quite the same as your point, but it is very much about
No,
if you're specific to an individual, you'll get a response.
it is totally exactly the same, isn't it? It's
Really? Yeah,
me
yeah. Well,
saying
yeah.
nobody else is putting their hand up, so I'm not putting my hand up when I made it about you.
Yes.
Do you know what? Funnily enough, I mean, this is slightly off piece, but I was on holiday last week, and there was a woman carrying a baby down some steps, and I looked at this woman coming down. It was like a ladder, actually. Well, not a ladder, but it was down some very steep steps,
Yeah.
wooden steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was watching her come down here, and I'm thinking, and I'm walking. I've got bags full of stuff. I've got all the family with me, and we're walking to this ladder. We're going up it. She's coming down it. And I thought, what I should do here is ask if you'd like me to take the baby while you get down
Yes.
and hold the baby. But there was quite a few people around me and behind me, and nobody did. So I didn't, and
Yeah.
I felt bad. I thought, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I? If somebody, all of a sudden it was like, well, nobody else is asking. So
Yeah.
weird, so weird. Well,
It,
thank you for pointing that out. Every day is a school day, and I think it's
it
it's important to
It's
reflect.
fascinating. I mean, it is really fascinating that that would happen because you would assume, as I say, busy high street, but it is that whole thing about social
Yeah,
proof. As you
yeah,
said, if they're not putting their hand up, I'm not putting my hand up.
yeah.
Yeah, no, no, no. There's some interesting stuff in that book. Um, but so obviously you've talking about it background. You've grown one business, sold it successfully, worked there, built the next one. What are some of the tips or learnings you've got from growing a successful business or businesses, Adam?
Yeah, I don't think I mean I was mildly successful in my first business. Um, it afforded me a good living and it enabled me to invest in Force24 to be able to start this business in this. So
That
I
sounds
look
like
at
success to me. You can you,
yeah.
you can choose not to be, but that's up to you.
I think more from a point of view of when I say the success, I actually just blundered my way along. I think is
Cool.
probably the truth.
I'll still
Um,
repeat the question. That's still. And lots
um,
of people here watching this will be saying, "Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm blundering my way along. I'm
yeah,
getting there."
just and so whereas this business now this is
Yeah,
different, and I
good.
think whatever I do next will be different again. And so this business is different because the first point is my recognition that every 3 years my role has totally changed.
Yeah,
And I can't say I've
great.
I've consciously said, oh, 3 years is up now to change my role.
Yeah,
It's just, you sort of take that look back. It's like looking at the kids, every year the days go slowly, but the years go quickly. And so you look, oh God, he's grown, and he? But the point that I'm making is when I look back at my role today into this most recent 3 years, it's
Yeah.
massively, massively changed. My role now as founder, the CEO bit is it's almost academic. We've got a
Yeah. Yeah.
managing director, we've got a
I get it.
leadership team. So, we've got a great team running the business.
Yeah.
So, a CEO, what's the CEO do? And so I found that my role over this last 3 years has changed dramatically from not doing anything that steals the oxygen from those that are doing it. And that is a really difficult
Oh,
transition. So
just repeat that. Sorry, that's really interesting. Just repeat that. So, not stealing the oxygen from the people that are there to do their role.
yes, now I'm going to get into a bit of a hole here because I'm not brilliant with boating terms, but I'm going to say so. You imagine a boat, right? We're all on a boat. I've it's a big boat, it's a sailing boat,
Yep.
and I'm the captain of the
Yep.
boat.
Yep.
Right. The engine breaks. What's my job? My job is not to get a spanner. All
Yep.
I'm going to do is get in the way of the people that can use the spanners to fix the engine.
Yep.
What I'm going to do is look at how I'll tell the guy that's steering the boat or steering the boat, right, okay, engine's broke, so let's use whatever momentum, let's head in that direction,
Yep.
whatever. I'm gonna not even tell the guys to fix it because the guy that runs the team that fixed it should have found that alarm and should have gone in and fixed
Yes.
it. The worst thing for me to do at that point is start standing there in front of them saying, "Well, have you looked at that? What about that? Have you done that? Have you looked at it?" And one of my best friend, he calls this seagulling. And
Right.
seagulling is where you swoop in, you nick the chips, and you shit on their head. Like, yes,
Yeah.
exactly that. Because if you've ever been an employee where an overbearing boss
Yeah.
in the time of stress is telling you this is you look, what
Yep.
about that? Why haven't you done that? Look at that. Why is that not like that? Why is this like that? And what so the point is, if you find yourself in that position, something went wrong beforehand in your leadership. And
Yep.
so if your standards aren't being met, there's two questions you've got to ask. Was I clear in what my standards were? Have I got the right
Yep.
person?
Yes.
People, person, whatever. And so
Yep.
you roll and one more thing on this topic, and again it feels off pitch, but I was reflecting on our chat that we had before, and it was the Pablo Escobar bit. Uh,
Yes.
and and so if you've ever watched Narcos, and this I watched Narcos about 3 years ago,
Yep.
and this was sort of what perhaps maybe facilitated this change was I was forget the fact that he was an evil drug dealer that killed lots of people, whatever. He was the head of the world's largest criminal enterprise and arguably one of the most profitable businesses on the planet. But not only was he profitable um, uh, as a business, but he was doing it in a way that it was constantly under attack
Yep.
by competing against.
Yeah.
And he was also under the threat of hiding. Now,
Yeah.
the thing is, that movie was shot, and you'll notice Pablo Escobar does not get animated never sits at a desk. He might sit down, but he's always just walking around pondering and just issuing the instruction.
Yep.
And that is the role of a good leader.
Yeah.
It's clarity on what it is that I expect, and it is absolute clarity on what it is that we're going to do and where we're going. And those
Yep.
people in the engine room that are fixing the engine don't want me sat there issuing instructions. They want me sat at the top of the mast issuing big ticket, long-term thinking about the direction of travel for the business. And
Yep.
if I walk out of a meeting with one single action, I feel like my job's not gone well. If I've
Yeah.
I need no actions because
Yeah.
that is the job of everybody else.
Love it. Love it. I think there's two things about that. One directly from what you've just said, which I'm just thinking is if they're not capable before there's a problem, then they're not capable. If sorry,
Definitely.
if they were capable before the problem, then they're capable during the problem. So let them
Yeah,
get on with it. If they
yeah,
weren't capable for the problem, that's an issue for us to have sorted out. But
yeah.
it's too late to then be trying to fix it for them. So
Yeah, yeah,
if we believe they're capable, and they should be, because we've selected them, we're that then they're capable, and let go on. But the other thing just come to mind from the second part of what you said was I heard a lady called Jennifer Byrne speak a couple of years ago, and she's ex CTO at Microsoft, and one of the things she said, which really stuck, and I was sitting in a group, the big hall full of business leaders, business owners, a lot of business owners in there, and she said in the US when they recruit C-suite executives, they actively test them on their ability not to do things. And
yeah,
and you could have seen all the people. It's almost like you punched half the room in the face
yeah,
because they're
yeah,
going, hold on, that no, but that's what I do.
yeah,
I get stuff done, and I think I do a lot of work with helping founders, especially, go through that phase of sensibly. Success is based on hard work to a certain level. It's
yeah.
very rare that you can get successful anything without working hard on it. But
Mm.
if I continue, once I've hit a certain knee point when things are starting to take off, if I still believe it's about how hard I work, I will become the bottleneck to the growth of the business.
You're absolutely right. And here's the thing: a lot of us are conditioned that success doesn't come without a struggle,
Yeah,
and that may or may not be true. The reality of it is that that struggle has to end in order for the success to manifest. And you're
love it.
so
Yeah,
you're actually successful. Depends how you're defining the success, doesn't it? I mean, it's
yes,
the successful is, am I employed? Has my family got what they need? Yes, I always want more. But I'm
yep.
sure Jeff Bezos is sat on his yacht saying, "I want
He
more."
still wants
Uh,
more. Absolutely.
so you're never going to meet somebody that's got enough. Well,
Yeah,
you might, but they're very smart people.
yeah,
And so success is where is my definition of the success, and have I achieved it, and am I going in that right direction? So I think that's really really important for people to
yeah.
understand. We don't know, by the way. You come on these podcasts, and I'm like. You listen to somebody just spouting. I don't know. This is
Yeah.
just my opinions. You know what I mean? And that's
Absolutely. That's why we do this is because you know creating success, whatever you want to call it, or growth, whatever you want to call it, can be done in so many different ways. There are certain things that part of doing this is to start to identify in many ways some of the common threads with
yes.
many of the successes people have had. But there isn't a single way. There isn't a proof. It's not completely proven. There are things that support a successful path, but that's why learning from so many people like yourself is so vital. I think
Yeah.
to all of us. Um,
On that point, actually, a lot of people do look at the likes of Elon Musk, and see a successful businessman, and Elon Musk gives the sort of opinion that he's in the engine room with the engine rocket engineers conversing it, and he maybe is, maybe, but I don't think that's the root of his success.
no, I agree.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos, on the other hand, is a little bit more as you would expect from a traditional Magnificent Seven CEO. He's more measured, he's more controlled.
Yeah,
Elon Musk seems to be successful despite himself. And I listened to his autobiography on Audible, and it was fascinating. It was really, or was it maybe Spotify? I'm not sure.
yeah,
It was fascinating, and actually, it points to a deeply flawed character.
yeah,
And that deep flooring has made him very successful, but deeply unhappy in pretty much most things that he does.
yes,
And the thing with that guy is, we're all one thing that I think Elon Musk is a hype machine, right? He
yeah,
is the guy that has convinced us AI is going to take our jobs. Everybody should be driving an electric car. We're going to be landing on Mars. Like, the reality of it is, he still hasn't launched the Tesla Roadster. He had a big unveiling in 2018. 2018. It's 2026. Uh, it's still not on the road. You can't buy it. The Cybertruck to God knows how many years. We've still not got out of low Earth orbit in with SpaceX. We've done wonderful things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's not done wonderful
no,
things.
no, I get, yeah,
He's done things that are truly magnificent. But there's the what you would believe we've achieved through social media, and what we've actually achieved
Yeah.
is two different things.
Yeah.
Which we'll probably come on to AI at some point in this chat. But
Yeah.
it kind of is difficult for somebody sat at this end of the social media screen thinking about the future, and then you're thinking, well, actually, you know, I've sort of prepared that, we're gonna have a massive world war in 3 weeks' time, and I've filled my fridge full of beans, and I've got all this. Wait a minute, it didn't happen. Oh, so we almost have to. So I find it difficult to listen to people like Elon Musk. I know it's kind of we've sidetracked a little bit from
No,
point,
I,
but
yeah, I mean, it's a really good point, isn't it? That you can, as you say, you can eat the more and more tools are available to allow us to hype things up through certain ways that
yeah,
we didn't have access to before. I think so. I've done a little bit on Elon, but not as much. But the thing, probably not as much as you, but the thing that does really strike me is my belief is, and I think this is, but is his vision of civilizations on multiple planets, i.e., that in terms of vision is about as big as it gets, if that makes sense. Way bigger than anyone, pretty much any other vision I've ever heard. And it, for me, that as an example of drive, the drive that it gets, and it may be the way he still attracts really high performing people that even though he treats them really badly. Um,
yeah,
and the thing that always struck me was he's got this vision, and it feels like because he obviously was one of the co-founders of PayPal, I think, wasn't he? Was where he made his
was.
first, made his first billion. And I'm thinking, at whatever age he was at that point, I think if I'd have made a billion, I might be thinking about doing something else. Yeah. Do you know? But it just shows the power of a strong vision. Of that, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
I honestly believe I've not read this to be true or anything. That basically he said, look, I'm going to need at least a billion to start to build rockets to go to Mars. How am I going to do that? Well, oh yeah, this thing like PayPal or something might work, and it was only to generate some cash. Whereas most people, it would be their life's work. If that
yeah.
makes sense.
I mean, I don't know whether you're absolutely right, and so I've gone into I don't know. The
No,
reality, no,
no,
we don't
it's
know
all
Elon
opinion. I
Musk.
get it,
We
100%. Yeah.
don't know, but it feels like I'm watching a Hollywood movie,
Oh
right?
yeah, I
So
agree with that. Yeah, yeah,
so it's almost like, oh, that's my vision. I'm going to do this. This is where we're going. So what do we need to do that? So we're going to need satellites. We're going to need rockets. We're going to need communications. We're going to need vehicles. We're going to
yep,
need solar. We're going to need. So he's gone away and he's picked off all of these, and that's what you could buy.
yep,
That is what you could buy. That's his strategy, and or you could think, well, is this all just a movie
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to convince us to buy his
Yep.
what is he actually thinking that he's actually going to get there in his lifetime and actually achieve this, or is this just the wrapper that he puts around the
Good point.
products and services? Don't know.
No,
Don't know.
no, I honestly, yeah, I don't know either. It's only supposition. Um, but I love the idea that it's such a big vision because I
Yeah.
find so many people because once you got a
Yes.
vision, then it's about the how. That it's a great example I think of. If it is, let's assume it's true for now, as you say. But once you've said the what, this is what we're going to achieve. Then
Yeah.
then the question is just how,
Yeah.
and you
So
know,
your point is more valid than mine. Mine is just
but,
is it? But your point is a strong vision gives
uh,
everything something to hang off.
it,
It's yeah.
it's really I thought and I did do a little bit of research on this because I thought because one of the reasons I'm really strong on vision is I love Sony's vision from the 1950s. I don't know if you're aware of it. I think it's documented in probably Good to Great, but basically 1950s Japan and Japanese technology post-war was rubbish. Was considered incredibly low quality. In fact, I remember as a kid. Um, Buying Japanese transistor radios were called Jap crap. That was the phrase. So it was rubbish. And they
Mm.
they set a vision, and the reason I think I love it is it's so powerful that the people that set it, I'm pretty sure probably didn't either. Certainly weren't working at Sony when it happened, but didn't probably most of them weren't even alive when they achieved it. And their vision, so incredible statement about um, creating a business where Japanese technology is considered high quality
Mm.
and considered the best. And it also talks about Japanese culture as well. And you
Yeah.
sort of read it and you go, well, they probably started achieving that in the sort of 80s with the Walkman and Discman, etc. And now Sony is considered good quality. I appreciate there's probably.
Yeah.
but to do that and know that probably the vision I've set is past my certainly working lifetime, if not my actual lifetime, it's quite
Yeah.
incredible for me.
Yeah.
It's
You know, you've hit there on how you make the mechanic work better. If you
yes,
if you've got that vision, if your vision is clearly articulated and is a strong one,
yep,
and actually what I find with vision, I've done a lot of work on vision and tried to articulate. I find it really hard. It's very difficult. This is probably
yes,
what, people like you are really useful at this. Is If your vision like that, you think about that vision for Sony, right? And then engineers on the shop floor are facing a decision about purchasing a components or building components, and they're like, wait a minute, we can't take that one because that's known to fail. We need to
yep,
go with that one because that
bang on,
sets our people apart, that sets our company apart.
bang
And
on.
therefore the CEO or the individuals that set that vision are like, didn't need to say anything.
Uh, yeah, couldn't agree more.
It runs through. It's the whole janitor sweeping the floor in NASA.
I was
I'm putting a man on the moon.
putting the man on the road. Exactly right. I was going to say that for myself. Yeah, absolutely right. It's like we all know what we're there for then. And I
Yes,
think, as I say, we won't go back into Elon Musk, but I think if it is true, then it does. It probably allows him to treat people as badly as I believe he does, but they still stay because they're
yeah,
probably engaged with the vision, not the person. If that makes sense.
yes, yeah, yeah.
So, Adam, I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. Who's been the biggest impact on you?
I think there's so we're a venture capital backed organization. So as part of taking on institutional money, they need oversight, and that oversight comes in the form of a PE appointed chair.
Yep,
And so in 2020, when we took our institutional money, I would say probably up until 2020, we were still just bumbling along. And I don't mean we weren't successful in
no,
terms of our growth and what we were doing,
I really
but
get that.
we were just trying to make it fit.
Yep, I
Listening to what the
really get that.
markets, yeah. And then so 2020 comes along, and okay, we've taken some private equity money, and we need a chair. And the chair comes along. We appointed a chair, and the guy was brilliant in that he was really methodical. He was all about clarity. He was all about vision. He was all about direction. He was all about structure. All the things I wasn't.
Brilliant.
And it was all the things that sort of didn't matter to me. It was like, well, if the sales team is selling, what's your beef? Why do we need a company operating system? If Why do we
Brilliant.
need OKRs? Why do we need this? And why do we need that? If the guys are selling, why don't we just get more sales guys? And then we found out you put more in, it doesn't scale.
Yes,
It
great.
doesn't
Yeah,
scale.
great.
So Chris was a phenomenal coach. He and I actually had quite a fractious relationship.
Yep,
And it was actually very because we were so different in terms of
yep,
he was this, I was this. Now,
yep,
sometimes I think, sometimes people are just different and people just haven't woken up to the better way of doing it. And I
yep.
was in the category of I hadn't woken up to the better way of doing it. So so it's not that Chris was totally different for me and I was totally different to him and we could never have got on. It was the fact that he hadn't articulated in a way at that point that meant that I understood it, that I could actually get on board with it and then run it. And so that is part of the challenge. So I feel like Chris was an excellent mentor, and he set the standard, and he said to me very early days, I want you on the golf course more. And to me at that point, I was like, what? How on earth am I going to leave everybody? They need me. They need me on the floor. They need me doing this. They need me doing that. And, I'm not a golfer. I don't want to play golf. I'm not bothered about that. I want to get him. You know what? Yeah, give me a few golf clubs. I mean, I don't play golf, but,
No,
I'll give it a shot now. I need
yes,
something to fill my day.
yes.
And and
Brilliant.
and that was really important. So that chair was great. We actually parted ways with Chris in 2024. Uh, and it was to do with the fact that we met a new chair candidate. And so
Yep,
we had a new chair candidate, and this chair candidate was, if Chris was all the way to the left, sorry, probably to the right, actually. If he was all the way to the right, this new chair is all the way to the left. And
right.
so it's almost like a bit of a yin and yang going on. So,
Okay.
so the new
Yep,
chair has come from probably the most historically successful business exit in the North in a long time. So we're very lucky to have him, and he's an exceptionally talented guy. He is totally different,
Right.
totally different. And so in terms of those mentors, it's kind of difficult to say who's the best,
Yeah.
and yeah, because they're both coming at it with two totally unique perspectives, and it's my job to pick from that what I think the perspective that I can work with is, but also being cognizant of the fact that I didn't understand what Chris, the first chair, was
Yeah.
saying, didn't see the value, didn't, and it was only because I hadn't awoken to the
Yeah.
benefit of it.
It,
So,
I, th- I,
chair,
yeah, no, I think the question is what, who's the best for you? It doesn't matter who's the best, if that makes sense.
I agree.
And that's the job of a coach. I mean, one of the things, I've worked in business with chairman in as well, and I think chair. I think the slight differentiation of coaching is the job of a coach in any form of coaching is to help the individual be the best they can be. So they're
Yeah,
very focused on the individual to get the best from them. And this isn't, so we're all clear. Every business needs, I believe, of any sort of size needs a chairman as well. Anyway, this isn't, but it
yeah,
is
I agree.
about having a vision about where the business should be.
Yeah,
Coaching. My suggestion is coaching, especially at its purest form, is about coaching the individual. Is it's
yeah,
somebody. I think the great analogy, and I'm not a golfer either, but there's a great analogy with Tiger Woods, who I'm sure we both are aware, in his heyday was the best golfer in the world by a factor of 10 sort of thing.
yeah,
And he got to a point, he won sort of, let's say he's won 8 majors at that point, or whatever the number would be, recognized as the best golfer in the world. And he did get to a point where somebody said, whether somebody said to him or not, sort of, you're the best in the world, why bother having any coaches? Because, you're way better than them. So what can they teach you? And he
yeah.
and he and he actually sacked all his coaches. And for the next 18 months, he didn't win another major.
Ah,
And it
yeah.
then clicked. It was their job was helping him be the best he could be,
Uh,
not be
Yeah,
better than him, if that makes sense.
that's a great way of looking at it. What you get. Do you remember that? Do you remember that dress picture where some people saw white and gold, some
Yes.
people saw purple and
Yes.
black or whatever it was? Yeah. This is true in business, and so what I do think is true about really effective coaching is people sort of asking, sort of there to support you and show you new ways of unlocking and considering different perspectives or new
Yes.
ways of thinking about things. So I'd have looked at that dress, it's white and gold, we're going that way,
Yep.
and then get to the shop and it's like, wait a minute. So my perspective isn't always the right perspective, and I think
Yes.
from a coaching perspective, coaching and mentoring and the role of those individuals is let's have a look at this from a wider
Yeah.
perspective as well, potentially. Yeah,
Absolutely. There's an element of challenge. Are you absolutely sure? There's an
yeah,
element of what other options could there be, and it's just helping, as I say, it's just helping the people. But no, wonderful example there of, as you say, two different styles, both adding value to you
mm.
in the business.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And whether it's from mentors and chairman or anywhere else, do you have any favourite quotes or sayings about business or success that you
Well,
catch yourself using a lot?
yeah. Well, one's not really a yeah. Ironically, it's from Elon Musk,
Right.
which is ironic considering I've been slating him for God knows how long. Yeah, and it's his view is no part is the best part, right? And he goes on to say that if you're not adding 20% of the parts back in, you've not taken enough out. And so that is an
Right.
interesting
Yeah.
observation that you can apply to lots of different things. So in a scenario, if I am overbearing, there's too many parts, there's too many words, there's too many components.
Yeah.
If I'm not being asked for more input, I've not pulled back
Mm,
enough. Do you
mm.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
I
not
do.
necessarily about engineering or software. I mean, from a software point of view, it's a really simple point. It's better that there's no button
Yeah.
because the thing just does it itself.
Yep.
perfectly.
Yep.
That's the better scenario.
Yep.
Um, but in life, I think that it's you can be overbearing, and overbearing is on the axis is negative,
Yeah.
and then you can be negligent or neglectful, which is also negative. But somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot of saying that there's the right thing, and Elon
Yeah.
Musk's point is you should be just slightly in and being asked for more,
Yeah.
um,
Like
but
that.
not so far away that you are
Yes. I,
irrelevant and neglectful.
I suppose an immediate thing came to mind was, and again, not necessarily the best role model a leader of people, but Steve Jobs only had one set of one uniform in effect. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Oxford shirt and the
yeah,
whatever it was, the chinos or
yeah,
whatever. So he didn't have to make that decision. So he
yeah,
didn't have to make a decision about what he was going to wear today. Just
yeah.
for the same thing.
Chris, we all do that. We probably both do that. We've got our on-duty dress and our off-duty dress. That is it. And then maybe the going out for a meal with the wife dress. That is it.
Well, the good old days. I've got so many. I've got to chuck them out. The good old days of suits. I bought so many suits because I like different stuff. It's like but
Yeah,
I know I've got wardrobes full of bloody suits. But there we go.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and similarly on a learning perspective, any favourite books or podcasts you can recommend, Adam?
Well, one of the books that I've really liked was called The Qualified Sales Leader. And I should have Googled the author, but if you Google it, you'll
Yep,
find The Qualified Sales
brilliant.
Leader, and it's an exceptionally powerful book. If you're interested in mobilizing salespeople and motivating salespeople and understanding what makes them effective and what doesn't make them effective, this book gets you in the first chapter. It's available on Audible, and you literally listen to it in the first one, and it's like it's told through the guise of a story, but it's sort of narrated as an instructional as well.
Yep.
Um, and you will read it in the first chapter, you'll be like, "Oh my God, that is my business. Oh my God, that is exactly what happens in my business every single day."
Brilliant.
And then it goes on to break down those behaviors and the
Brilliant.
evolution of what they changed and how they changed it. Fascinating book, fascinating.
Love it.
Um, you can take a lot from it.
So that was the qualified sales leader.
Correct.
We'll find. Well, we might even find that on the reference. See if we can find that. Brilliant. I will definitely look at that. That sounds amazing. And sort of last on learning. What would you say you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far?
Yeah, it's this sort of about myself is this one thing I would say about myself is I'm willing to adapt, and I have proven that I will adapt
Yep.
many different ways in which I'm needed to adapt. And the other thing is that I think as you get older, you sort of get the recognition that you don't know everything, and you have to be better at learning. We're really good at learning as a child. We then reach
Yeah.
the sort of teenage years where we claim to know everything. I know that from experience with my two teenagers. And we then sort of carry on that path of arrogance and sort of I know it all. But I look back on my early days in my web design agency, and I can see that I didn't know it all. In
Yeah.
fact, how on earth did I manage to do that? I look at my the way I handled things, the decisions that I made, the hires that I made, yeah, everything, and I think, good God, how did I get that?
I,
How did, yeah,
I, I totally get that. I mean, I obviously became a business coach and have been doing it for 20 years, but and learned so much. And then I look back on my first business. I mean, we had what would be considered a reasonable level of success. We got up to sort of 110 people, 12 million turnover, and I look back and how little I knew. I mean, really, it was really, and one of the reasons I do this is because I really didn't understand how to do the things we've talked about, scale a business without it becoming a
yeah,
burden on my time. And I was
yeah,
doing 100-hour weeks for three
yeah,
years, and
yeah.
it was just unsustainable. I didn't get
That'll
anything.
kill you. That,
It pretty much did. Look
yeah,
at me. But yeah, I mean, and I look back and just how do we manage it? And yeah, I mean, there was so much luck, a lot of hard work, but it could have
yeah,
been so much easier. Along everything we've talked about, we could have made it so much easier. But again, that's why learning as much as we can is so key.
So Chris, there is one. There's before we wrap up, right? There's one
Well,
thing that, based on what we've just been saying, that I think is really important. So, as a founder, as a CEO, as a business person, when you have these people, the coaches, the chairs, the mentors, telling you you need to do less, what you hear is an attack on your ego. You're
yeah,
not good enough.
100%.
You're making a mess of this. Stop, and whereas
Absolutely,
what you should be hearing is, no, this is for the best. This is for you. This is going to help you. You shouldn't be doing 100 hours. It's not sustainable. It's not appropriate.
absolutely,
But you don't. You just hear, I've got to let go of control because I'm making a mess of this and they're not good enough and blah 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 and this is that and they just don't understand it and blah 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 blah. You've got to hear it in the light in which is intended, and that is to support and help you. You're paying
absolutely,
the coach's bills at the end of the day, so that so
Abs-
you hear it wrong.
absolutely, absolutely. No, we're not finished yet, by the way. So no, we've got
Oh,
plenty. We've got more to go. But no, the two things come to mind when you say that. One was the next question, but the first one was that the first experience I had of a chairman of a business was in my first job. Literally, I was first year in, so I was 20 something, just out of college, and it was a business called it was Frantic Computer Systems. But the chairman came in. We had the chairman, a guy called Sir. I've searched him up recently. Sir Derek Allen Jones. I got his name wrong originally. Sir Derek Allen Jones, traditional, old school chairman, big mane of silver hair, pinstripe suit, for as you expect in the 80s and 90s. And he came in, and there was sort of, let's say there's 500 of us in this big auditorium. And he gave us half an hour, maybe we were there for 9:30, half an hour of the most rip roaring, it wasn't America, but it was just like, he just stood there and said, we are great, we're doing a great job, we've got these great opportunities, we're moving into the States, we're doing all this stuff. And you could see, looking around, everyone's chest pumping up, and I'm absolutely confident he increased the performance of our business, or all the people in that room, by 20% for the next 6 months. Okay,
really?
without a doubt,
Wow.
everybody did that. And then as he walked off up this auditorium, and I happened to be towards the end of the row, and he looked at me, and it probably wasn't me, but I'm going to say ego tells me he was looking at me, but he said, "I'm off for a game of golf now." So in half an hour, he'd probably put, a good couple of million on the
I
probably
love
profit,
it.
if not turnover. That was his job done. And
Yeah.
and although it's a lesson I could have learned a long time ago, I've never really learned it that well. But it was just fascinating that he was just so comfortable. He knew he'd made more money in that half an hour than he could make, as you rightly
Yeah.
say, sitting and coding with me or doing a
Yeah.
design document, and it was just fabulous.
Oh, unbelievable. What a beautiful story. And I've taken that because on the next week I have a company all hands where it's my job to go and
Brilliant.
give that, and I think that I'm going to take that and I'm going to go and run with that and make sure that when everybody leaves that that call, they're that meeting, they're ready for action.
Absolutely, and just a reference. Thinking back to it now, I admired him saying that. I didn't go, "Oh, well, what you do?" Well,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm going back to work. I went, "Bang on." Oh, yeah, I'm with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
If you do that, you deserve it. But coming on, I guess the next question I was going to say was in Action Coach. Our primary principle of helping people grow businesses is to create a definition of a true business, which is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without its owners,
Yeah.
which I guess we've talked a lot about today, which I think is, for me, is key. It doesn't mean, and I often put in that phrase when I talk to people about it. It can work without you, and what I mean is we get the choice. It's not, if you
Mm.
love what you do or part of what we do, why wouldn't you keep doing it? I mean, it's like that's fun then, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it's removing all parts of our from our work, things that we don't need to do, because other people, as we've said already, are probably better than doing it, than us, and we should get out of their way.
We should get out their way and let them fall. Not let them fail, but give them the guardrails to be able to do the job excellently and make sure we're hiring the right people. I'm saying all this stuff, and you're saying all this stuff. There's a reality though, it's really hard to hire people. And
Yes.
it's easy for Musk where he's hiring the best talent. He just clicks his fingers, the best rocket scientists are coming his way. And they've done it before. They're experts. They're this, they're that. There's no. Whereas we have to. Let's say you decide, right, well, I'm going to hire a marketeer, and I want somebody that's going to be top drawer at being a marketeer. How do I go from being sat here with that idea all the way through to the execution of a perfect marketing department? And that, do you know what? That's really hard. And so, it's easy for us to sit here and say, you should do this, you should do less, you should do the other. But actually, look, it shouldn't be said without the recognition that if you achieve it, by the way, that's
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
You're
Oh, 100%.
special.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it is. It is. It's a sort of it's a what's the word? A destination rather than I can't remember
A
the phrase.
journey rather than a
It's a journey
destination.
rather than a destination. It doesn't.
Yeah.
The challenge I find with many people is if we don't at least have that as a destination, we'll probably always be at the mercy of the business.
Yeah.
If we don't work towards removing ourselves from it for all the reasons we've talked about today, then
Yeah.
it probably is never going to happen. And we see too many people. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were saying they know a business owner right now that's just going to shut up shop. They have no vision. It was basically work really, really hard and then stop, not create something that can and that's not great for not just themselves potentially, but the employees. It's just literally
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
just going to run it and stop. And so I think it's a thing to work towards. But
Yeah.
on find, and I agree with you on finding people. The two key things that we work with people on, we've sort of covered at least one of them today. One, for me, it comes back to vision and culture. So having a strong vision, we start to attract people that want to help us deliver our destination. But also, one of the things we teach a lot of, Adam, is traditional recruitment is about recruiting on experience. Typically, then we sack on attitude. So most of the people we sacked wasn't because they weren't good enough to do the work. They just didn't have a bad attitude. So we have within Action Coach completely turned that round, and we now recruit on attitude, base level of qualification. I totally get, but in most things you can teach skills. I mean, even technological skills could be taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've had clients actually create academies where they've actually brought people in that were totally untrained and trained them as part of the process
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
long term. But I think
Yeah.
that's one of the key things is if we've got a match of values and vision, then we've probably got great people that are going to work hard for us, do it our way, and stay
Yeah.
for the long term.
Yeah.
Is what we
That's
found.
the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking to the future, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any, Adam?
So well, I mean, the future is will we will keep going. We until we become the de facto marketing automation platform or automation platform for UK business.
Brilliant.
We will keep going,
Love
and
it.
we are facing challenges through AI. And I
Yep.
say facing challenges, I don't mean our business is at risk because AI is coming. I mean we're facing challenges because the goalposts are now moving so quickly. It's like what a user interface looks like has changed massively. You look at Google did it years ago. You had two buttons on the Google homepage. ChatGPT, Gemini, all of them. It's free text input, one button sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right, a few more
Yeah.
buttons. So we're seeing a massive shift in the way that people use software, which means that there's that to contend with. There's also a massive shift in the marketing world coming, which is back to authenticity. So I think we've all tried a chat GPT written email that got no leads,
Yes.
no clicks, a social media post that got none of, and so there's a move back to authenticity coming, which
Yeah.
means our job is to build tools that take out the boring stuff and enable authenticity more effectively.
Yep. Great.
So,
Great. Yeah.
so if you imagine from a software perspective, trying to project forwards as to what the future might be and trying to build assets, pillars to get you to support that vision is really, really difficult. So So how that's going is interesting. But I think what's really great is that we we are well positioned as an engineering team, as a software business, as a with many clients to try and read the market, try and read the direction of travel, try and offer advice. And if people buy our vision, they'll buy from us. Doesn't have to be
Yes,
right. Just has to be our vision and something that
100%.
we're committed to. But I do believe though we are coming back to an age of authenticity.
Yep,
And on our last chat, I'll very quickly mention this. And one of my regular talking gigs, one of the things I do is I flash up a picture of a pub, and it's a really old-fashioned one. Sort of brass countertops, wood everywhere, roaring fire. Yeah, and on I then say like, who'd like to go here for a pint or a Sunday lunch? And everybody's like, yeah, that looks lovely. That looks great. Yeah, lovely. And I'm like, well, you know what? That picture could have been taken 200 years ago if the
yep,
cameras had have existed,
yep,
and everything would have looked the same.
yep,
And we go there not because it's cutting edge. We go there because it's authentic, because it's
yep,
us. It's a human experience. And that's not going away. So Elon Musk again talks about this inertia being the thing that stops us from embracing. No, it's just the human experience that
yeah,
stops us. It's not inertia. And so when I look at what AI and technology has done to facilitate that picture, there is a better air conditioning unit. There will be wireless payments. There'll be Wi-Fi so we can receive calls and emails. There might be some technology in the kitchen. Who knows?
yeah,
So, but it's about protecting that human experience. I feel like
yep,
marketing has gone through a dot-com bubble style
yep,
race, and it's just pumped out some guff. And we've got to go back now, retract, look back at what it is that people actually want to connect to, what human experiences actually mean, and facilitate those better
yep.
through the air conditioning, the payments, the Wi-Fi, etc.
That makes it makes perfect sense, and it's a great example. The one of the pub, because as you say,
Mm.
if all you wanted was a delivery of alcohol or
Yeah,
whatever the purpose is, there are many ways you could do that. And
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, no, I think it's brilliant. I just remember, given what you do, but I remember in the very early days of doing email marketing, and this is like really early. This is going back whatever it would be, 15, probably 15, 20 years, and for many years from when we started, the most successful open rate we ever had for an email campaign. I won't get you to suggest what the title was, but the title was test, because it was a test one we accidentally sent out. So it was the mistake that was the most successful email. I mean, it was
Yeah,
open. Obviously, there was nothing
yeah,
clicked through because we hadn't got it right. But it just went,
yeah.
what? So
Damn it.
damn it, yeah, absolutely. And I do tell the story to people because I say, look, if you want, you'll get more opens by stuff that is deemed authentic, whether it's an error or
Yeah,
people just,
yeah.
it's just like, oh, I've got, and I know that's not quite the point of a conversation, but I just remember it's like, it's okay to be human, I think, I suppose is the point.
It
And,
is.
it attracts people that we do make mistakes. And what
Mm,
one thing is true, and I can't think who was saying this the other day, and I've certainly found it, is as humans, the way we've dealt with problems has often created the best relationship with our clients. So
mm,
being human and making a mistake, but then being committed to solve it has been
yeah,
been really key. Um,
yeah,
uh, Sorry, I'm just keen. I keep an eye on time because I know
yeah.
you've got some. So, final question then, Adam. What would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do
Listen to people. It's not an attack on you.
that?
It's
Great,
listen to people. Uh,
brilliant.
Somebody said to me, people with poor communication skills. What is it now? Make everything an argument. People with no accountability think everything's an attack. And so those two things, that's remember, if you're arguing, it's because you've got poor communication skills. If you think it's an
Yeah,
attack, it's because you don't have the accountability that you need to be able to
yeah,
to go for it. So that's that. It's not all an attack. It's people are here to help,
absolutely,
and that's
absolutely.
what it's about.
Brilliant. And our founder's got a great one on that. He says, never argue with an idiot because it just makes two.
Drag you down to their level and
Yeah,
beat you at
absolutely,
experience.
absolutely. Adam,
Yeah.
it really has been fascinating talking to you. Now we really could go on all day, but I'm conscious. I know you've got some time commitments. So, firstly, thank you for your time. Secondly, for anyone that'd like to get in touch with you or Force24, what's the best way of doing that?
Well, force24.com, or find me, Adam Oldfield, on LinkedIn. And happy to chat to anybody that wants to chat.
Brilliant. Well, it'd be great to swing by another 6, 12 months and just see. Well, just not repeat this, but I'm sure we could do another hour right now. But for now,
Yeah,
thank you so much for your time.
no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.